Hello, welcome to Actual Spinster. My name is Anna Marie. Before I get into the video, there is a link in the description box to a GoFundMe to support Ala and her family whilst they're stuck in Gaza. If you can check that out, I would be grateful. So today's video is going to be a TBR for non-fiction books for 2026. I was thinking about the reading that I did last year, and whilst I feel like from a percentage amount, I definitely read more fiction and care more about fiction than non-fiction. I do feel like last year I read quite a lot of non-fiction and I loved most of it. I guess it's partially because if I am going to read a non-fiction book, I want it to be really good and I want to really enjoy it or like get something out of it. So I thought that it would be nice to put together, I think 6, maybe one more, but yeah. 6 books for 2026 kind of thing, of like books that are on my TBR, like my physical TBR, that are non-fiction that I would like to read. I was going through and basically I found these 4, and also I guess the biography of John Donne that I read as books from last year that I really liked, that were non-fiction. So this is Patchwork, a graphic biography of Jane Austen by Kate Evans. This is Maman, What Are We Called Now by Jacqueline Mesnil Amar, translated by Francine York. This is Heavyweight, a family story of the Holocaust, Empire and Memory by Solomon J. Brager. And then this is Jewish Life and Culture in Norway, Wergeland's Legacy. And then the biography of John Donne is called Super Infinite, The Transformations of John Donne by Catherine Rundell. So yeah, I just felt like that was like a genuinely solid group of books. I should definitely look at what else is on my shelves that I feel like might also have the same kind of potential. Obviously there are like kind of themes, I would say, in these. 3 of those books are like about Jewish stuff, including specifically the Holocaust, but then also just like Jewish life in general. And then 2 of them are like graphic non-fiction works, and then Patchwork and also the John Donne biography are both biographies, but they're also specifically like literary history, like biographies, you know, they're about literary figures and also historical moments that those figures lived in. I felt like those were kind of like solid themes to sort of think about when thinking about this selection. Yeah, I do technically have 7 here, but one of them I have started to read, although I am like 5 pages in. So maybe it doesn't quite count as the same way. So we will start with this. So this is a book that I got recently because it was a birthday gift, and it's Old Songs, Stories of Love and Death from Traditional Ballads by Amy Jeffs and Gwen Burns. It is about, well, what I didn't realise is it also has sort of like a retelling element to it, I guess. But basically it takes various ballads and it tells a story, the story of those ballads in some way, I think, from what I've read so far. And then I haven't got to this part yet, but then I think it also talks about them as like historical records, or like the context, or the way that they're trying to trace the aging of these ballads, or that kind of thing. And I think, yeah, it says Old Songs fuses short stories, histories, lyrics and illustrations in an enthralling reimagining of traditional folk ballads, featuring iterations of fairy tales and sinister descendants of Greek myths and Bible stories. I'm really excited to keep reading this. Hopefully I will make a bit of progress. Insert name of month whenever you see this. Or maybe before. Yeah, I think it's a really beautiful book. And also I'm pretty sure, like, they do mention like a link to hear some of these songs, but I couldn't find that link inside of this, so I think I might contact the publisher to ask if they can send me a link to hearing them, because that would obviously be really nice. The other books that are here are ones that I think most of them have been on my TBR for a little while. So the first one is Abolish the Family, a Manifesto for Care and Liberation by Sophie Lewis, which is a really short one, which I also thought would be helpful for me. Because I feel like, yeah, I'm not great at reading like long non-fiction, but I think like shorter ones are less intense. Yeah, this was given to me a few years ago now, I think, by Mari, my lovely wife friend. And it's, I think, like, I don't think it will be like majorly like insightful because I'm sort of here already, but I did kind of want to read it anyway because I really like Sophie Lewis, and I think it might be good also as a just like another articulation of some of these thoughts and ideas. Another book I have is Brick by Brick, How We Build a World Without Prisons, which was written by Cradle Community and published by Hajar Press, which is a really wonderful press that is like publishing like radical political work by people of colour. And yeah, I think this looks really interesting. I think it looks Also probably kind of helpful. I believe Cradle Community is a women of colour led like prison abolitionist group. It says a vital community resource for those who dream of building a just, caring, prison-free society. Which, yeah. So now we have like a strand of literary stuff. So this is Mrs. Wolfe and the Servants, The Hidden Heart of Domestic Service by Alison Light, which I think uses Virginia Woolf's relationship that is like very fraught with her domestic servants and servants in general as a way to talk about like the wider experiences of and like life of domestic service workers, basically. Like I don't know how much it's like super based off of Virginia Woolf or how much goes wider. I think it might be quite tied into her, but then maybe using her as sort of like a case study. And it seems also like it's making the case, the fairly obvious case, but the one that is highly sort of erased because of what it suggests about the like porousness of like how people need other people to make beautiful things. But yeah, that it's sort of making the case that like Woolf's life was very impacted by servants and their work for her, and that is like a neglected part of literary history when thinking about how she created her work. So yeah, I think this looks really fascinating. It's quite chunky, but hopefully I can, you know, kind of dip in and then get like sucked in to the rest of it. And I think that this is like really interesting personally. Another like literary based history one is 1599, A Year in the Life of William Shakespeare by James Shapiro. This has been on my TBR for such a long time, and I do really want to read it. I just have never kind of got to it, and I think last year, maybe 2 years ago, it was like almost going to be something I would read, and then I got distracted. And I also kind of felt like when I was doing my Renaissance Bodies teaching that I might be able to pick this up, but I did not have spoons for any of that. So yeah, that hopefully I will. I've heard really great things about this. I think it's pretty great as a piece of like Shakespeare, like work, criticism, whatever, engagement with his life and work. And I do very much look forward to finally checking it out. Then we have a book that has been shown on my channel a lot, and then was like, especially when I make videos with Mari, and now that she has finally read it, I can take it back and read it myself. So this is Fighting Women, Interviews with Veterans of the Spanish Civil War, by Isabella LaRusso. It doesn't say that there is a translator, but I imagine that there was. Anyway, I am really looking forward to this. I think it'll be really interesting and hopefully inspiring. Yeah, it says LaRusso's work translated into English for the first time, but doesn't say who by. But maybe it does say like if I read more of the book. But yeah, it looks like this was a collection of interviews collected over 17 years as like across Spain, yeah, with women who were fighting against fascism in the 1930s, and it looks really wonderful, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to reading it. And then finally we have a book that I picked up in New York, which is fitting because it is about New York City, and it's one I also really wanted to read last year, but I just like didn't get around to it, but hopefully this year I will. So this is The Great Kosher Meat War of 1902 and the subtitle is Immigrant Housewives and the Riots That Shook New York City by Scott D. Seligman. When I visited New York, I managed to go to this really wonderful museum, which is the Tenement House Museum. I think that's what it's called. And they have like a range of tenement blocks that you can visit and a range of different tours. And I wanted to go to one that was related to Jewish history. So we went to a 1902 women talk. I think that's what it was called. And it was really fascinating. I mean, the tour guide was like amazing and had so much to say and like so much like historical knowledge. And then I asked about like books that like he would recommend at the end, and he suggested this. He also suggested another book which I do not remember, but this was more specifically about the stuff that we kind of did encounter on the tour, because the tour was based around this meat strike, kosher meat strike I should say, of 1902, where basically Orthodox Jewish women who were like being harmed by the upwards price, the surging of price of kosher meat, they went on a boycott basically, and they did a bunch of other things around it, and it was a while ago that I did that tour, but yeah, it just seemed really fantastic, really interesting, and I can't wait to read more about it. So yeah, those are 6/7 non-fiction books I would like to read this year. Let me know if you've read any of them, or if you have a similar kind of goal in terms of non-fiction reading, or just like your approach to non-fiction in general. That would be interesting to me. I hope that you're having a lovely day when you're watching this, and I will talk to you when I next talk to you. Bye!